It was the summer of 2008. I was a brand new priest, ordained just for a year, and I got the opportunity to accompany the Diocese of Tulsa pilgrimage group to something called World Youth Day. This happens every 3 to 5 years or so. The Pope picks a place, and the young people of the world come to that place. The summer of 2008, it was Sydney, Australia. So I went with the group, and most exciting for me would be the opportunity to celebrate Mass with Pope Benedict XVI. Now, it wasn't just me and him. There were 5,000 priests. But that was going to be, for me, the highlight of this trip. Being with the group, seeing a new place, and getting to see Pope Benedict XVI, one of my heroes. Well, it turns out, of all the cool things we did, I saw and petted a kangaroo. I climbed the Sydney Harbor Bridge. I got to celebrate Mass with Pope Benedict XVI. The most enduring memory for me from that trip was one line of one homily, not from the Pope. As these days of festivity began, the opening Mass was celebrated by Cardinal George Pell. At that time was the Archbishop of Sydney. And Cardinal Pell was speaking to the young people assembled, 500,000 of us. And he was speaking to them about a life of discipleship. What does that look like? He was speaking to them about vocations to the priesthood and religious life. He was speaking to them about giving your life to something meaningful. And he said this line in his homily. He said, "Only in commitment will you find fulfillment. Only in commitment will you find fulfillment." This is, of course, good advice to those who are discerning a very specific call. Should I marry her? Should I marry him? Lord, are you calling me to be a priest or religious? Are you asking me to maybe change jobs? Are you asking me to do something that might be difficult? I don't want to commit to it, but I know that I should. Only in commitment will you find fulfillment. Some of you are in the process of becoming Catholic. Maybe you're kind of in between. Should I do it? Should I not? This is not a pressure homily, right? But there's something to say for committing and saying, yes, I'm in. I'm all in. The question for us, I think, is our level of commitment. I say this to you as your pastor. I say this to you as a priest. I'm pretty committed, given my life to this. But there are days when I'm not as committed as the other days. There's days when it's hard. There's days when you're tired. There's days when you'd rather do something else. But then you come back to the commitment that we make to the Lord every single time we come to Mass. We commit to the Lord in a new way. And so, how committed are we? How committed are you? We just received a report about 2 weeks ago that listed the Diocese of Tulsa as the most fruitful, spiritually fruitful diocese in the country. I read that and I thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. What a great honor. I mentioned it to our bishop and he said, I'm not impressed. It speaks to good things happening in our parish, good things happening in the diocese. But when we have maybe an overconfidence, we can get complacent. We can lose our commitment. Jesus says in the gospel today that you will be hated because of my name. Jesus says in the gospel today that you will be handed over and some of you will be put to death. Jesus says all this will happen because of my name. Now, if you're not committed, if you're not living for him, you don't have to worry about that. No one is coming for you. No one is persecuting the lukewarm. No one is going to bother you. And maybe that should bother you. Only in commitment will you find fulfillment. For the McBride family today, celebrating the baptism of little Margaret, there's a commitment. You just heard them say, as I asked them, will you raise your child in the practice of the faith? And they said, we will. When a couple stands in marriage and we say, the priest says, will you love and honor each other for as long as you both shall live? And they say, I will. When a priest is ordained, when a religious is consecrated, they make a certain commitment of their life to serve God's people. Only in commitment will you find fulfillment. And so my prayer today is simply for a deeper commitment for every single person in this church today. A deeper commitment to the Lord Jesus, to the church that he gave us, to the teachings of the church that he gave us, which are often difficult to live out, which are often a burden on us. We can go lukewarm. We can go halfway. We can get complacent and say, we live in the best diocese in the country. We're good. That's not where we want to be. Each of us has an opportunity every single time we walk through these doors, every single time you kneel down to pray, every single time your eyes open and God gives you another day. We have an opportunity to recommit ourselves to the most important thing that we can ever do. And that is to have faith in Jesus Christ, who loves us and who came to save us and set us free. Only in commitment will we find fulfillment.